Hey guys, this is Naf with another Diablo 2 guide. Some people were asking me about how I progressed so quickly on the new ladder reset playing solo Barbarian. And a lot of people enjoy Zealer builds, but something I don't see people talking about is how good Zealer Barbarians in particular can be due to their gear progression, flexibility and versatility. A lot of people don't think that Zeal Barbarians are as great of a build because they think of other builds that could be more powerful, such as Double Swing, Whirlwind or Frenzy, but that simply isn't true. What makes this build special is that you're essentially saving a ton of stat points instead of investing in a main ability, and are able to put them in any other ability while you're progressing throughout the game. Say for example, you put points into a certain weapon specialization, and then find a better weapon, but it's for a different weapon class. The stockpile of skills you probably have accumulated using Zeal as your main ability can probably solve that issue, and you could max mastery in both axes or swords if you liked. Another example is perhaps you have the right gear you want, but you don't have enough resistances to survive certain challenges. You can just dump your stats into natural resistance, and piece of cake, you've probably maxed out your resistances by now. Barbarians are already gear dependent as it is, and this build can ease the pressure by allowing your excess points to be used for versatility. The way I've played this build this season is to max battle orders, shout, the weapon specialization of my choice, and compensate for whatever stat I'm missing, so whether that be resistance, move speed or armor in the Barbarian passives. There's also room for maxing out item find, which can make this build amazing for farming. I also like to put a single point in Whirlwind due to this build having such high crushing blow and deadly strike. I start fights off by whirlwinding through packs, which can trigger blind on a large number of mobs, whilst lowering their HP with crushing blow and deadly strikes. This is more effective as you play against higher HP packs in higher difficulties. And then we follow up with Zeal. In this video, I'm going to go through my current build, gear progression and future progression. So let's get started. Firstly, we have the Passion Rune word. This is pretty much a self-explanatory weapon. We need this item to use Zeal. It does poor damage, but what makes Zeal on Barbarians fun is that they can dual wield, but Zeal is a one-handed ability. So we use Passion as a stat stick for its attack rating bonuses, crowd control effects, and nice gold find. Next, we have the main hand weapon. Grief is probably the greatest weapon in Diablo 2 for its endgame level damage and versatility in being able to ignore the defense of regular mobs, as well as its negative 25% defense for bosses and uniques. I made mine in a phase blade since it's the easiest base to reach the attack speed breakpoint for Zeal. Next we have Duress. I use Duress as well as Treachery to get my fade procs. Duress is a rather underrated armor that boasts a large amount of bonuses, including a nice 15% crushing blow and a massive 40% faster hit recovery. For the Helm, we have G-Face, one of the greatest helms in the game, as well as being an item that drops early. It boasts a huge 35% crushing blow and 15% deadly strike, as well as 30% faster hit recovery. I put a Rao rune in mine as it was my lowest resistance with this gear combination. For our amulet, we use High Lords. In terms of damage output, High Lords is probably the best choice for this build thanks to its deadly strike, damage, and takes us to the second last breakpoint for increased attack speed for Zeal using our phase blade. The additional +1 to skills is useful due to the fact that we need a level 4 Zeal to achieve 5 swings in one attack. Ours is only level 2 at the moment and only does 3 swings. Our boots are Gourd Riders, renowned as one of the best pairs of boots for melee builds. It gives a ton of crushing blow and deadly strike for more damage. The Raven Frost Ring is useful for its high attack rating, cannot be frozen, and mana bonuses. Its other stats are fairly useful as well. Our belt is the String of Ears, one of the best melee belts in the game for its damage reduction and lifesteal. Our second ring is a crafted blood ring, a really nice ring that gives me some lifesteal and good stats. Our gloves are Dracul's Grasp. It's useful for its lifesteal and life tap on striking. If I didn't have these, I could just use a life tap wand when I do UBERS. You need another 17 IAS to hit the final breakpoint with this build, but I'm yet to craft a good pair of blood gloves that give crushing blow and increased attack speed. This build is capable of doing anything in the game, including UBERS, as you can see in the video. Now, if you just wanted to know my current build, that's all for now. I don't even have good gear on my mercenary yet, but if you'd like to know my gear progression, stay around. So we don't get Zeal from Passion until as early as level 43, which means we won't likely get an rune until around Nightmare Hellforge, which is where I got mine. So until then I had a rather generic Frenzy build, but the game doesn't really get challenging until Hell anyway. My progression from level 1 to currently is as follows. At level 15 we got Malice, which boasts 100% open wounds. It's useful damage for a large amount of normal difficulty and useful for bosses as well. At level 17 we build a Stealth, great armor for hit recovery and movement speed. At level 21 we build an Ancient's Pledge, best made in a tower shield for a high block rate and used as a weapon swap defense. At level 25 we built King's Grace, which is a great damage item for the level, and as well as a Strength, which is great for Crushing Blow. You'll probably need Crushing Blow for a large amount of the game, due to the fact that you might not get lucky when it comes to finding strong damage items, and you'll probably want to keep a Strength no matter what for fighting bosses up until level 35. At level 27, you can make an Insight for your Mercenary, just for the added bit of mana regeneration as well as a bit of help with the damage from your Mercenary. And at level 35, we build a Black. This is the best weapon for a long period of time, and you may find yourself remaking them as you find better weapon bases. At this point, armor was rather generic, and I was crafting a lot of blood items in priority of gloves, then belt, then amulet, and then ring. Firstly, we wanted the angelic rings and amulet set for a huge boost to attack rating. Secondly, we wanted the string of ears for a massive damage reduction and lifesteal. We can get both of these items from either normal Bale or Nightmare Andariel. I did these runs until I had at least 2 angelic rings, 1 amulet, and the string of ears. We could also try to get a Ravenfrost, but I didn't get mine until much later. After this we could continue with Nightmare difficulty. At level 43 we finally get Passion. You might get a Lem from a drop by Act 4 Nightmare if you're lucky, but it has good drop odds from Hellforge. Next, we have a few options of what to do next, and I decided on the fly based on what runes would drop. The best main hands to go for at this point are Lawbringer or Crescent Moon. I found an rune before I found a Ko, so I opted for Crescent Moon. Next you can choose between Treachery or Duress. I got Treachery first since I found a Lem before an in this instance. Next, I made an effort to find G-Face and Gore Riders, and they both have the highest drop rate from Nightmare Diablo, so I repeatedly did Chaos runs and eventually got both of these items. The final piece for this build is by far the hardest, getting a low rune for Grief. You could find this during lower Kuras runs, but I eventually found mine at Hell Council. This is it for what I consider to be essential items. I eventually replaced my Angelics set, but Angelics will do perfectly fine in this build as well. I almost forgot to mention, if you're finding it hard to make a Grief by finding a low rune, you could always opt to build an Oath, however you do risk using your Mao and having to find another Mao before finding the low rune for your Grief. Finally, to finish this build, I would like to get some more attack rating and life charms, as well as a Dream Helm for the added lightning damage, some Crushing Blow gloves with 20 IAS to offset the loss of the G-Face, or in getting a Laying of Hands gloves to have the 350% damage to demons as well as the attack speed, and finally an Enigma for teleport, as well as taking my Zeal to level 4 with the +2 skills, which will take me to 5 swings per Zeal attack. Thanks for watching guys, I hope you liked the video, and don't forget to give a thumbs up and a follow if you enjoyed.